Hey everyone, super excited as we end out this year. This is episode 5. I'm so excited to talk about this because I am literally living through this right now, and I know a lot of us can relate. This episode is for anybody who feels like their whole life just got a complete reset, right? A whole reset. Like you lost everything, your plan, your stability, your sense of direction, right? Because when that shift happens, you're kind of like, well, what am I doing? How am I going to, I don't have the answers, right? And that's where a lot of that frustration, self-doubt, stress, anxiety can all kind of creep in and create that fear and keep you stagnated, keep you frozen, keep you fawning to a place where you're not actually moving forward or put you in fight or flight. And I'm here to share that with you, what I went through. Because that's where I was, starting over again, feeling like I lost my marriage, my home, my identity, my idea of how life was supposed to go completely, just out the window, okay? But you know what Spirit has showed me? It showed me something very clear, that I didn't lose everything. I just lost what I thought was everything, okay? Because what we're asking for and what we are imagining in our minds are sometimes two different things, okay? And when the universe does step in, because you keep asking, Lord, I want a better life. Lord, I want these. Ancestors, I need this, I need that. A lot of times we don't hear what we're saying and then what we're envisioning and what we really are asking for, right? And so the universe is going to step in because you're on the wrong path, essentially. Or you're finally are realizing that you're not in alignment. Some of us, it takes a minute. I didn't realize I wasn't in alignment because I was so focused on trying to be a good wife, trying to create this life that, in all honesty, wasn't really what I wanted. I've always been a go-getter, empowered, wanting to be an entrepreneur, and I allowed the idea of marriage and kind of jumping in on my husband, my soon-to-be ex-husband's vision, kind of take me off the path of which I was in. And again, I wasn't put in the proper environment to thrive. We could not come to a middle ground to really support where I really wanted to see my family be and where he wanted to be. And honestly, I don't think he ever really wanted me to move in that direction because he would have felt left behind. And sometimes the people that we're with can be our biggest enemies. Okay? So when you finally are realizing, like when I finally realized that I wasn't aligned, it doesn't feel like guidance at all. It feels like fear. It feels like loss. It feels like everything is falling apart at once. And I can tell you, the day that I decided to walk away from my marriage, it felt like my whole life went into shambles, okay? So today, we are going to unpack this ish. We are going to unpack starting over. The fear, the surrender, because Lord knows you're going to surrender. You ain't got no choice but to surrender, okay? And how that blank slate is actually a gift. It's not a curse. You didn't lose everything. I say, oh, I lost everything. Now I'm saying, you know what? Spirit wants me to start from a blank slate. And even when it doesn't feel like a gift, it's a gift. Trust me. Okay, so let's unpack this ish. Okay. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about what a reset really looked like for me. I didn't imagine my life like this. I didn't imagine going through a divorce. Never. I really thought I was going to be married, y'all. I mean, married. And if I'm honest, somewhere deep down, like I knew that the marriage wasn't going to last long. I knew it deep down. I think I knew that the day before I got married, even though I was so excited to get married. I just wanted to believe. I really, truly wanted to believe that this was going to be a successful marriage. I really did. I loved him so much, or at least I thought I loved him so much. I thought he was going to be that husband. I held so tightly onto this version of him that I saw the potential of where he could be, and that's what gets us all tripped up. But here's the thing. Some of the things that my estranged husband had said to me, especially right before this year's Super Bowl, actually on the day of the Super Bowl, we had a very intense conversation. It really told me everything that I needed to know. And even though the truth was right there in my face, he pretty much told me the truth, and it hurt like hell. I chose to deny it. I chose to deny the truth. And I'll share one thing. So one of the things he did say to me is that he felt that the marriage was never going to work on his end, that he was going to try to be a good husband, but that he didn't really think he could be a good husband. He also shared with me that he trusts no one. He trusts nobody, including me. And it had nothing to do with me. He just doesn't trust anybody or anything. So he already walked into the marriage with death, okay? The marriage died before it even got started. Because if you know, or you know for a fact, because of whatever issues you have going on, your traumas, your demons, whatever you want to call it, why in the hell would you drag somebody else into this? And just because you want to be selfish, because I was your safe space, because the energy that I provided allowed you to feel like the man. My job is not to make you feel like the man. You should have felt like that before you got into the marriage. But I knew these things, okay? Because I was always the one giving and supporting and growing. And a lot of what he did was transactional. I'm just going to be clear with you. He thought that he was helping my business because he gave me some freaking money. But he never gave me the environment to really build my business, to really support it. He's not into spirituality. He's not into any of this stuff. But I denied the truth. But then that's where the shift came, okay? This year is a 9-year. And 9 is all about endings. It's all about closures. It's all about cycles completing, right? And when it's time and you're ready, and even if you're not ready, Spirit will shut that door whether you like it or not, pretty much. And when that happens, fear is going to show up really, really fast, okay? Because I literally was holding on by a thread, okay? By a thread. I was holding on to like maybe after this conversation, things will get different. Maybe he'll learn to love me. But when somebody is already walking around in a space of defense and thinks that everybody in the world is after them, you can't really love them any further than they'll allow you. He shut me out. And the more I tried to love him, the more I got shut the F out. And the more it stressed me out. So every time I thought about leaving this relationship, the fear sunk in because it was like, what am I going to do? And don't get it twisted. I've walked away from some things. But now I'm adding in the idea of what marriage is. And I take marriage very seriously. I said, I'm going to marry, I'm going to do it big. And we've been taught that, oh, you got to stay. But why stay in something that is not elevating you? It's not adding to you. If anything, it's draining you, right? And what's really draining is somebody who selfishly wants you to constantly pour into them, but they cannot pour into you in no kind of form or fashion. And literally just drain you. Okay? So a lot of us get scared. Can I really do this on my own? Do I want to start all over again? Can I just pick up the pieces from where I'm at? Because I went through that heavily. Like, okay, now that I know my husband, and at the time, this is what I'm thinking. Now that I know my husband can never love me in the capacity of which I need to be loved, he can never give me the things that I need to give, do I stay in this and just manage my life the way that it is? Like, if I know this is how he is, can I still be a wife to him? Can I still just let him exist while I do what I want to do? No. The answer was no for me. And Spirit said no. Because I know what I need, and I need to be loved. I need to be treated a certain way. I need to be heard and seen a certain way. And if you're my husband and you cannot hear and see me in that way, then why the hell am I still here? Because you'll never value me. You'll never value me as the woman that I am. And you're damn sure not going to be able to pour into me to allow me to elevate into the woman that I am. And so at that point, everything has to fall apart so it can be rebuilt correctly. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for that. But on August 11th, I decided enough is enough because I'm not going to continue to be disrespected. I'm not going to continue to be left out in the cold. I'm not going to continue to put everything aside that I truly believe in and want to see happen in my life just so you can feel on equal playing field. Because sometimes some men who are not secure with themselves, they'll find a strong woman. And it's not just men, women too. Okay, some people, they'll find a strong person and they'll drain them dry of their strength just so they can feel superior. And that was not going to happen no more for me, okay? Because I was tired. So when I walked away with literally nothing. I can't even tell you the 3 months of the harassment that took place when I walked away from this individual. And like I said, I try to be mindful of how I'm going to speak on what has transpired. But yeah, it was hell. It was hell. The entitlement, okay? The entitlement. He was a menace to society, okay? The entitlement, the lies, the triangulations we use, right? Or when they try to tell people certain things and don't think. And the crazy thing is he doesn't realize a lot of that stuff came back to me. The information that I needed to know came back to me. And the coup de grace that he pulled on me that really made me realize, this ain't it. And even to this day when I talk to him, I bring it up. Because you don't want to admit it, but I know it was you. It definitely made me realize that it was time to move on and to learn how to value myself. And that I could no longer be afraid. But it shouldn't take fear to push you in this place. It shouldn't take the harassment or the things that took place for you to get to this place, is what I told myself. I should have just stood to my guns and kept it moving. But again, that fear held me back because I was so conditioned and familiar with what the situation was. Okay? And I had to do the one thing that I really didn't want to do. I really wanted to have my own place. I wanted to have a job. But I mean, realistically, I was a mess. I was in shambles. My weight was off. I was tired. I needed to sleep. Instacart was good. It's always been good to me. But how can I even thrive in that if I'm tired and stressed out? On top of that, I really didn't have help with my children. I was doing it all on my own. And so at what point did I have time for Jasmine? At what point could I take care of myself and uplift myself? And I had to find ways to make that time for me. And I finally woke up. I finally woke up after crying. And thank God, the Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Thank God for Waiting to Exhale. Thank God for Under the Tuscan Sun. These movies, I watched them every single day on repeat. Until finally one day I snapped, woke up and said, okay, as much as I don't want to do this, I have to do this because this is the only way I'm going to free myself from this prison, this chain. Because as long as he has an inch of anything to still hold on to with me, I'm going to continue to still be in this space drained. And cutting that cord was much, much needed and necessary. So I had to move back in with my father, with my kids. That wasn't the plan. I didn't want to do that. But I had to shift my mindset. Instead of shame, I found gratitude, okay? Gratitude for the fact that I had a parent who didn't pressure me. Gratitude for the space to rebuild. The gratitude for time, okay? Starting over doesn't mean failure. Sometimes it means alignment. And I had to get out of that. And alignment required me to slow down. I mean, all the way down, as much as I didn't want to. And one of the biggest ways I've been learning how to deal with starting over, it was literally stopping myself, okay? I was always hustling. Stressed out, feeling like I wasn't making enough money, feeling like I had to do more. I gotta get this money, because I didn't have a full-time job. I have to watch my 2.5-year-old. The other two kids are in school, so they go to the bus, but then they gotta be picked up at 2, and they gotta be picked up at 3, and it was just a lot. And on top of that, again, I wasn't complete. I was drowning in my own self. I was trying to grieve the separation. I was trying to rebuild. I was trying to do so many things. And now I'm moving with my dad, who lives on a completely other side of town where all my kids go to school. I don't want to transfer them out of school because I'm not staying here for long. I just need a moment to figure out what I'm going to do. And I felt like a maniac, okay? I felt like a freaking maniac. And so one day, I said, okay. I had to stop. Just stop. I always felt like I didn't have a day to stop. I had to keep going. Because if I stopped, that was going to put me behind. And that's that survival mode. And I had to realize, like, no, okay, stop. Just stop. Just stop, Jasmine, because you're running yourself into a circle and getting no freaking where. And I broke down and I cried. Because that was the hardest thing for me to do, was to stop. Because in my mind, I had to keep going. But then I had to breathe. And thank God I had my Relax With Me spray. Relax With Me, my grounding spray. I made that spray for a reason, because I didn't have the sage. I didn't want to spray sage. I needed it on the go. And the Florida water the lavender, the peppermint, the frankincense and myrrh. I sprayed that. I said, okay, stop. So the first thing I started doing was sleeping because I wasn't sleeping. And then I had to breathe. And then I had to think. And I started setting one simple goal per day. One or two things, it's depending on my day. But at least one thing that actually met my goal for that day. I had to be able to meet at least one thing for my goal that day. And when I did that, it became way more fruitful. Instead of jumping into Instacart like, I gotta make this money, stressing myself out every day, working from 7 in the morning, literally from the time that I took my daughter to the bus stop, it was at 6:30, the bus picked her up at 7. I literally would work until 7 o'clock at night, maybe taking an hour to 2 hour break, long enough for my daughter to get off the bus, for my oldest to get off the bus because he's 15, for them to be at home, and then either I leave the baby, because she's 2.5, she's pretty functioning, my kids are very well behaved, leave them all at home, and I had a camera too so I could watch them, and working until 7 o'clock at night, which honestly, by the time I got home, hopefully their homework was done. My kids were routine. So the homework was done, the baths, making a late dinner. I'm so thankful and grateful for my kids. They are so resilient. They put up with a lot. And I fight every day to give them a better freaking life because God only knows like how amazing they were during this time. But it was draining the shit out of me, okay? I literally didn't even have time for myself. I go to bed and do it all over again. And again, even though I'm just stressing myself out. I'm adding unnecessary pressure to my life. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, by the time I get home, I got to apply for a job. And I couldn't even apply for a job. So I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. I'm not eating properly. I'm not sleeping properly. You can take 20 million spiritual baths. You can do all that stuff. You can meditate all day. But until you one day say, okay, I'm going to stop and actually come up with a plan, it doesn't work. And that was happening with me. I needed to make a plan. And so finally I realized I got to start treating Instacart like a job, okay? Because you don't work your job all day and night. No, you don't. So today was, okay, I'm going to do 4 hours today because I had to look at my schedule, see what's going on. They still have doctor's appointments. They still have stuff going on with school, right? I still need to do homework. I want to be able to cook dinner in a timely manner. And I still got to figure out what I'm going to do with the fact that at that moment I was still living at the apartment, which he was paying for, which he made me feel like I was just blasphemy because he had to pay for his wife and the kids to live there. He felt some kind of entitlement, mind you. Try to make me feel guilty about that, but I'm your freaking wife, dude. Whatever. That's a rant. Sorry. But even moving in with my father, now that we're fast forwarding to moving with my father, I had to create a schedule because driving from one side, south side, all the way to north side every day was also taxing as well. I mean, I'm tired of driving, trust me. So I started saying, okay, for 4 hours today, I'm going to do this. Then today I can do 6 hours. And basically, whatever money that I make today, that's what I make. That's what I have, and I'm going to be thankful and grateful and be open to more opportunities. And then I started having to be strategic, okay? Because when you calm your nervous system down, clarity always shows up. And spraying my spray too, relax with me, because it helps calm the nervous system. The smells definitely trigger the receptors in your brain to tell your body and the hormones like calm down, right? And when you have clarity, you find new ways to work the same problem. Because I needed a new way to work this same problem that I've been working for the last few years since I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, okay? But I did notice I was making my bill money. See, great gratitude. I was making my bill money. I could spend time with my kids. I could come home at a decent time and cook dinner and rest. And some days, if I had Emmy, if he has our youngest, I could say, okay, I'm going to stay out and work late because the two older will be okay. But I had to find balance. Because before, child, I was all over the place. Okay? Stressed out. Stress central. Okay? That's why I shaved my damn head, too. My hair was falling out. Not just to liberate myself from all the pain and trauma that I went through, but also because I wasn't taking care of my hair. My hair was falling out. I had patches, bald spots, you name it. It was just time to start fresh. And now that my hair is bald, I love wearing the wigs now. They hold on so tight. Thank you. Okay. But also, too, I'm actually enjoying being bald. I find myself pouring into myself and loving myself even harder than I ever have, having no hair. That's just my take on it. Okay. But there was also something else that I had to stop doing that was also like really, 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 really kind of stressing me out. I had to stop keeping everything in my freaking head. Because when we overthink, especially something like me, then you overthink the overthinking. And you overthink and overthink and overthink. And as a mom, you're always thinking about the next step thing you got to do. You're always 10 days ahead, 15 days ahead. Mom's job is never freaking done, okay? And if you're not a mom, you're a dad, whatever, it's not a gender thing. If you keep everything in your head, you tend to overthink the overthinking. And then you can't measure where you are, okay? So I got me a scheduler. I love me a good old scheduler. One of those nice ones where you can journal, you can plan, you can map things out. I started putting pen to paper because I realized that putting pen to paper allows things to come into fruition and you actually complete your goals, okay? Because you're taking from your mind, you put paper, because you keep it in your mind, it goes all over the place, right? I started mapping out my days because that was definitely needed. Mapping out my goals so I wasn't overextending myself like I've been. I start a list and I would start a list with 3 things. The next thing you know, that list would have 20 things. And I would get none of those things done because I was just overly thinking, okay? I started writing down what actually needed to be done. Like, what do I need to do today to see tomorrow? You know what I mean? Okay? Instead of carrying it all in my mind and stressing my freaking self out, I started creating action plans. And that's something I actually learned from working in retail as a manager. And I'm talking about real action plans that make sense, that don't drain me, that meet all the elements that I need to meet for that day, and realizing that, like, I can only do what I can do in that day. And if I have a checklist, I can refer. If I still feel like I have more things I need to do, look at my checklist and see, okay, did I do everything today? So if I've done all that I can and there's nothing else that I can do, then you know what? We're done for the day. Go relax, Jasmine. Go sit down. Don't feel guilty because you want to sit down for a second. Because for one thing, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go a little off subject for a second, 2 seconds. Because it's going to tie back into me feeling overwhelmed. Before I met my husband, I was paying all my bills. I was working full-time job and also Instacarting, taking care of my kids, running around doing everything, and I was doing it just freaking fine. You know, he moves in, and there's deep layers to that too, but we're not going to get into all the nuances with that. And at some point, after having the baby and everything, I was dealing with postpartum very badly, and I got let go from my job because I did not like the way they were talking to me or treating me. And I'm a firecracker, man. One thing I did learn is I got to learn how sometimes that everything that I say and how I say it don't got to be said. And also, too, sometimes I got to check my emotions at the door because even though what I'm saying is not wrong and I'm stating facts, my delivery can come off so wrong. And I am the kind of person I don't back down. So I'm standing on a hill dying by myself. I was just talking to my homegirl about this. I lost my job during that, and I should have got unemployment for it because the way they did me was really dirty. They cut my contract, basically. It was an easy move for them because I refuse to let anybody talk to me any kind of way, especially when I am dealing with postpartum. And that was my first time ever dealing with postpartum. I never had it with my other 2 kids, but this one I sure did. And I went down a really, really bad, dark rabbit hole. I was actually put into a facility. That's another story for another day, and we will get into those personal stories later on. Anyways, I started working at this place, a smoothie shop, where I was making $12 an hour, which is way beneath myself. But I also was working for somebody who owned a business, who didn't want to run his business, but wanted everybody else to run the business for him. So eventually I got overcapacitated with that as well, and my mouthpiece got the best of me, and I was definitely let go. I'm not ashamed to be fired. I need to be removed from those environments, and God was going to make sure I was removed from those environments because sometimes we try to stick it out. I stayed there for too long. My biggest regret is I should have left a long time ago because it wasn't serving me and where I was trying to be. And also realizing that even the patterns of my life with the men that I date, I was also finding the same patterns in the work environments and the people that I instilled my trust in. People that feel like they can talk down to you. People that feel like they can treat you like you're not a human, like you're just a number. People that feel like they can use you and make you feel like maybe you don't know what you're talking about and belittle you or manipulate you in some kind of way while they benefit. So yes, those things did happen, and I'm not ashamed of that, but I also am dealing with a husband that wasn't taking care of me, wasn't taking care of home, was stressing me out, play video games 24/7, leaving me to do all the things with the kids, never really fully stepping up on his own and saying, you know what, because he felt like, oh, I'm paying all the bills. I'm paying for rent. I'm paying this, and therefore I am entitled to come home and do nothing, or I'm entitled to feel the way that I feel, and to hold that over my head. That was something he threw in my face during the separation. Was like, that's why you lost your jobs. That's why da da da. And it was just like, really, dude? Are we really gonna go there? Because I don't think you want to go there. Because who held you down when you lost your job? Eyes rest. So, stressing myself out. I was stressing myself out, trying to hold on to this image of myself because I felt like, wow, you're going to beat me down about who I am. I got to show this person. I got to show. And so I was in my head constantly planning, competing, and always trying to make sure that I was on top. That wasn't getting me anywhere. I was so freaking overwhelmed. And that's when I had to come to reality and start creating action plans, real ones that made sense, not making these long lists of all this stuff I have to do and draining myself, which I was doing with that marriage. Okay? And so when I did feel overwhelmed, I sprayed my Relax With Me spray, okay? I grounded myself. I'd spray it, put on some good music, or just be sitting in silence, meditate for a second. If you're not a meditation kind of person, spray the spray, take a deep breath, 4 in, hold for 4, let go in 6, okay? 4, 4, 6, okay? And then I would plan out my days. I'd apply for jobs. I would set weekly goals. I worked on my resume. Thank you, Must Ministries, for that. But without pressure and without freaking panic. And that was super hard for me at first because I wanted to work. You know, Rihanna, work, right? But one day I had to realize today it isn't flowing. Money isn't flowing. Money ain't coming in like I wanted to. And instead of sitting around stressed out all day, allowing how somebody treated me previously to make me feel like I was less than who I know I am to be, my true, authentic self. Child, I would just go home and say, you know what, I'm going to apply for jobs today. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to rest. And even some days I didn't even work. I didn't apply for jobs. I needed to sleep because I was tired. I needed to gain this version of myself back, the queen that I am. I would ask myself, though, when I would do these things, are my bills okay today? Am I safe until tomorrow? And that's where it shifted everything. It changed everything for me. That's when I stopped forcing outcomes. I let go of the noise, all the things that I had prided myself on, built myself on, stressed myself out about. I let it all go and said, you know what, that happened. This is me. This is where I'm in my life. And I will no longer let shame, guilt, manipulation, or worry or fear keep me bogged down. And that's how I was able to make the decision to move to my dad's house. Because I had to let it all go. And listen, when you're fighting against it, you're just making it harder. It's like a toddler when they're fighting their sleep. The harder they fight, the faster they fall asleep. And the universe was going to show me that, guess what? No matter how much fight you have in you, you're not going to get where you need to be until you stop. Stop forcing these outcomes, Jasmine. So I stopped putting pressure on myself on how things were supposed to look. American culture definitely teaches us to go, hustle nonstop. But when I started traveling, it taught me something different. It taught me work-life balance, presence, appreciation. I realized I wasn't as grateful before. I wasn't grateful for my apartment. I wasn't enjoying my life at all. I was always chasing the next thing. And now I'm starting over. I know my next place. I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to enjoy being home. You ain't going to catch me outside for nothing once I get my next spot, okay? I'm going to enjoy my kids. I realize I got to be a better mom with them. I got to make sure they're on top of their stuff, that their schoolwork, because it's not their fault. I put them in this environment. So now I got to find my way out of it. And I'm not going to guilt myself either with that. I'm going to give myself grace and realize that I was just moving with my heart. I was functioning under my trauma. I was functioning under a lot of things that I did not realize I was functioning under. Okay? And now that I know better, I do better. And I'm working to do better little by little. And it's by changing the environment that I am in, enjoying the little things. My car, I'm super grateful for her. Her name is Yonsei. She's been holding me up. Especially when I thought she couldn't hold me up no more. I was freaking out at first about all of these things, about starting over, about rebranding myself. Tapping into me, because I've spent my whole life letting people tell me how I should look, how I should feel, how I should be. Their opinions. And finally, I just said, I'm done. I'm done listening to what everybody has to say or what the world thinks or even what I fucking think. You know, at first I was like, oh my God, is this it? Is this, oh my God, what am I going to do? But everything started working itself out when I learned to breathe. And then I realized you can only, Jasmine, work the variables you have. The rest, you gotta fucking surrender. Okay? You gotta surrender. Okay? And when you surrender and you stop fighting everything, life will meet you where you're at. And I can say in the last month, I have been my happiest. I have felt much more whole. I still have my ups and downs. I just cussed my son out earlier today, and trust me, it wasn't beautiful, but I don't think he understood the message and what I was trying to push and convey. And like as I said, I hold myself accountable for the I won't say the neglect, because it wasn't neglect, but for the lack of being present like I needed to be for him. But I did have to really make him understand, like, listen, we're not living like this no more. The bare minimum is not going to work. God gave us a right to live on this planet and to do right by ourselves and to live and create. We are creators. That's why we call him the creator. We are the creations of the creator. We are here to create. Not just lay around on our phones all day, scrolling, being mad at the world, being negative all the freaking time. It's like to be present, to be in life. But you have to surrender the will. Surrender the will to fight against what is in front of you. Accept what is in front of you and say, okay, now what can I do to move forward to where I want to be? But you can only do that in clarity. Okay? I hope you're hearing me with this. Lord, I hope you're hearing me with this. Starting over is not a failure. Losing your job, you're not a failure. Okay? You're not. Simple as that. It's life. Don't let people make you feel small or put you in a box just because you're not meeting their requirements. And don't put yourself in a box. And don't let yourself feel small because you're not where you think you need to be. Because you are exactly where you need to be. And when you're present and you surrender, you will be shown. If you just sit still long enough, Spirit will show you your next path. Because it's all been written and created. The blueprint is within you. That is why I created Jenna Marcella. So you can take the time to look at yourself, pour into yourself, find clarity and grounding to see your very own blueprint and stop looking for a map that doesn't exist because you already have the map. You already have it. And that's what I had to tell myself. Jasmine, you already have the map. It's right here. Okay? That's it. Surrender. Do what you can, and what you cannot do, you give it. Give it. Okay? I went a little over this time. So if you're starting over, if you feel like everything fell apart, hear me so freaking clearly. You didn't lose everything. You lost what wasn't aligned for you. For the person that you're heading into being, not the person you're currently right now. So slow down. Spray my Relax With Me spray, okay? Spray it. Okay, spray it, which I'm going to start opening up channels for you to order that from me when you're ready. When you're ready, okay? Because the spray is A1 Bomb Diggity Dog, okay? But breathe. Breathe. Sit down and be honest with yourself. Make a plan. Trust yourself. Trust that plan. Trust everything that you're doing. Okay? Trust it. You're not behind and you're not too far ahead. You are being rebuilt because you can't build a house on broken soil. You know, sometimes when you see these old buildings like the old Krogers or whatever, and they tear it all down, they dig everything back up because in order to build this new store, they have to get rid of the old foundation. We got to stop trying to build on foundations that are not for us. And that's what I had to realize. It's like gardening. You got to pull the seeds out of that dirty ass soil that you didn't take care of and put it in a different soil so that it can thrive and give it the right water and the light sunlight and the nutrients that it needs. Starting over is freaking scary. But it's also so freaking sacred to who you are. Okay? So I'm glad that we got to unpack that, because they needed unpacking on the unpacking with the unpacking on further unpacking. Okay, this episode hit me personally because I'm currently in this space. I'm currently rebuilding myself. I'm currently looking at my brand a different way. And yes, I don't like the fact that I gotta live at home. I'm not saying I'm ungrateful for that. I'm just saying I'm 40 years old and I love living in my own space. But what I'm saying is it was necessary, and I'm thankful because it's causing me to be more appreciative. I'm so thankful for my support system, my community that's around me right now, that understands where I am. And I'm not even ashamed to tell people what I got going on. I'm not. Because guess what? It's life. Sometimes we're at the top, and then sometimes we find ourselves at the bottom. So don't shame yourself as you go through this time period, because you never know. When I kept asking God to give me more, I couldn't do that with this husband that I'm married to. I couldn't do that with the environment that I was in. If I would have stayed, that would have been the death of Jasmine and who I want to be, the galactic goddess. So remember that. It may be scary, but it's not. It's just because you're starting from a blank slate like this. You have no idea where you're going to go, what it's going to look like, and that's okay. Be excited. Be open to the opportunities. Be open to whatever is going to be built out of imagination. Some of the best things are built from that space. That's why we're creators. So never forget that, guys. Never forget that. All right? And to our next episode of We Gotta Unpack This Ish, I just leave y'all with this. Give yourself grace when you're going through a time that may not feel like it's in alignment with who you are and where you're headed. It's okay. It's going to get better. Remember, everything is temporary. Be blessed, y'all. Until the next episode. Peace.